what's doing that strange paper sign out of the Oval Office? Well, HuffPost asked me to comment on the typography of this paper sign that was recently spotted at the White House, and I thought I'd record a quick video to show my thinking behind it and also to rant about the typography. But first, let me give you a bit of context, and credit here to The Independent for reporting this. Reporters noticed that President Trump has added a new sign outside the Oval Office, a temporary gilded script sign marking the entrance as seen from the Rose Garden. It's a flourish that feels straight out of Mar-a-Lago, shiny, decorative, and a bit over the top. So the White House says it's part of Trump's effort to make the White House beautiful. Though it's been met with plenty of mockery online, obviously. So let's talk about the design itself. The sign uses a gilded script font on a plain paper, a placeholder obviously for something more permanent. And to me, this is the cheapest way to signal something is noble. It's lush and golden, but it feels insecure, like trying a bit too hard. Think of a cheap chocolate brand using a shiny font to look luxurious, or a low-budget hotel conference room that is going for grandeur but lands on kitsch. Now, the typeface here used seems to be something like English 111 Standard Adagio by Matthew Carter, and this is a good typeface. It's a script font, so let's just type in here the Oval Office. It works well as a script font, but it also seems to be adapted. Now, looking again at the sign, you see that these strokes are more contrasting than in the original version of the typeface, so these are less contrasting, and that's also the nature of these script fonts, of these copperplate script fonts or round hand script fonts, because they want to imitate calligraphy with a pen and with these pointed quill pens. Now you see also that you have these entry strokes, and one characteristic of these kind of typefaces is that they have very delicate stroke and very thick strokes, so the down strokes are thick, and they have made this a bit stronger so that it might work for a sign or something, but it just makes it look cheaper, because yeah, they also added this gradient maybe, so that you know then later on this might be of pure true gold. Who knows, who knows. But the thing is, since these kinds of typefaces always try to mimic the real calligraphy, so give me an example of that here. So you see here, this is a Bigham script, and you see that this has these flourishes and these entry strokes. You do not see any entry strokes here. They ditched those because you don't need them always, or you really connect them. Like for example here, Academy, the A and the C is connected. Now with the Oval Office, this is purely executed. You see that there's no connection between O and F, or O and V, or T and H, and this might be due to a technical limitation, because this kind of fonts, they need to be very durable, and back then when we didn't have any open type features, so context-aware character combinations, so to say, and this was the time when these fonts came out here that I used, you had to make them work for all kinds of combinations. So always looking at a short entry stroke when it not even needs to be there. So always try to type in the letter R, and if the letter R connects nicely with the others, this is by the way a tip I got from a type designer Rob Leuschke, and he told me about this trick that you always take a look at the R for script fonts, and if they connect well, that is a well-made script font. But here it is well-made, but it's not really custom-made, so it tries to mimic this deliberate, handmade quality, but it doesn't, because it isn't. So that's my problem. Do you see this as well? Post it in the comments. Do you see that this somehow tries to mimic something genuine, something noble, but it falls flat? It doesn't really work out. So overall, I have to say that these script fonts are definitely there to convey luxury, craft and care. But because they're so easy to get and because they are so often misused, they are not really the obvious or best choice to make this really substantial. They're also harder to read, they are narrow, decorative, overly contrasting, and in digital versions, as I said, the real elegance, they tend to lose this real elegance. And you saw this with the entrance stroke, it's making the letter feel cramped and inconsiderate. The intent is clearly to make that sign look shiny, noble, and authoritative. But in the end, it feels hollow, predictable, and unnecessarily complicated. This is just a perfect example of how typography can reveal insecurity rather than sophistication. So, alright, I think that's enough. What do you think of this sign? Tell me in the comments below. I'm curious about your opinion, and that's everything you can do with typography. It's incredible. Yeah, well, see you in the next one.